Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Talking Smack, where we talk superheroes, movies, animation, and comics. I am your host, Josh Scar, and joining me this week is Lewis. Lewis, how you been?
I've been and doing and been being. We'll do with that. We'll go with that. I'm tired too, apparently. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Joey. I'm doing good.
Oh man, no, just another work day over here. Nothing major.
Yeah, sounds about right. Just living the dream of this hellscape, soon-to-be dystopian world that we live in, and distracting ourselves as much as we can, right?
That's a different type of podcast. If you want to go down that route, man, I don't feel like that right now. Let's just not.
Apparently, I get very depressed when I'm tired. I don't know.
I mean, hard same, but I go a different direction with my depression. Oh man. Other than that, though, I have been noticing a lot of messages on Twitter and all that about what we're going to be discussing today, and there's no in between with what we're going to be talking about today, is there?
I guess not. I mean, I've seen mostly positive things. If you haven't figured it out based on the background music that you're hearing this week, we are talking about the Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers Not a Reboot movie that released on Disney Plus last week. And we're going to kind of dive into it here. But first, we have an ad break from our friends. I lost my list here.
From someone's taking this ad space.
Someone's getting an ad space here. Where's my sheet here? There you are. So we're going to take a quick ad break from our friends at the Super Familiar with the Wilsons podcast. We'll be right back. And we're back, and we are here to talk about the Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers Disney Plus movie that released last week on Friday, May 20th, which also was the day Rebecca and I were on the live stream for The Cure, which we have the results of those numbers that came in.
Nice.
We surpassed the goal, actually. We, as a group, we helped raise $23,000 for cancer research.
Very nice.
Rebecca and I hauled in a little over $330, which
nice.
at 9 a.m. in the morning Eastern time, that's no small task.
Yeah, especially for indies like you guys. So yeah, good job, man.
Hey, you're part of this too. Don't be saying use guys.
Use guys like you run this gig. You know, this is your baby. I'm just a part of it. I'm just a babysitter. Does that sound right? We'll go with it.
Sure.
I'm not with the analogies tonight. I'm sorry.
This is going to be very interesting. We're not drunk. We're just tired.
God damn it. I'm sorry. My brain's not
Maybe
here.
Lewis does need a drink.
My lord.
So we're gonna go straight into spoilers on this because I don't feel like we can properly discuss this because if you've seen the trailers, you kind of get the idea of it. Chip and Dale and the Rescue Rangers had a breakup. Chip is kind of resentful of the breakup, and then a pretty typical reunion story kind of happens.
Typical?
I would say it's pretty typical. They fall back into old habits and they rediscover their friendship, and a happy ending ensues, or mostly happy ending.
They rediscovered their friendship through one of their friends who was essentially caught up in like coke addiction in his world, which we'll touch on. But yeah, sure. I guess it's very
it's not breaking
special.
new ground. Yeah, it's not breaking any real new ground. But it is fun. We'll get more into real thoughts after all this, but spoiler warning from here on out for Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers Not a Reboot on Disney Plus.
Is that the official name for it? I just realized I don't even know what the official name of this movie is.
I think it's just called Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, and then there's a subtitle, or the tagline is "It's not a reboot."
The tagline, yeah, it's probably the tagline. Yeah, okay.
But I'm just calling it Not a Reboot because it's the movie. I guess we could just call it Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers the movie.
That works. So yeah, from the get-go though, I really enjoyed what they did. I love how they Roger Rabbit did it. But like not really. And something that something that we were wondering here as we were watching, is that means Roger Rabbit was real life, or was Roger Rabbit part of a movie within the world, or was that reality? You get what I'm saying? So like that's one thing.
It's
that we
the
started
Buzz
wondering
Lightyear
about.
conundrum, or the Lightyear conundrum that Pixar is now presenting everyone.
That one's easier to understand though. Like this is the movie that set off the Buzz Lightyear toys that Andy loves. The end. This is a little different type of situation.
But still, it's an in-universe movie that we are now going to see as a movie. So it's weird, a weird like Inception kind of thing. Like how many layers deep are we going to the theaters now?
Bwah. That's all that was missing.
Shit, I need my spinning top.
Oh man. But yeah, no. Overall, what did you think? Because you know me, I was excited for it. You're trying to take me down 5 pegs leading up into the release.
I promise I was not intentionally hating on this movie.
Bullshit.
No, I was hating on Seth Rogen. That was it. And it's only because every fucking movie this guy is in, I promise you're going to love this because I got comeuppance with this. So every trailer that they had, they introduced Seth Rogen's either like dwarf character Bob, or there was one where I saw that they had Pumbaa, and in both of them they had that Seth Rogen laugh that just irks me, not because of the laugh. Like the laugh is fine. It's a signature laugh, but it you don't need to put it in every damn trailer to let us know that it's Seth Rogen. That's my beef. And yet every time Seth Rogen showed up in a trailer, either via voice or even cast announcement, they would just have the character laugh. And I'm like, I get it. He's in the movie. He does more things than laugh. But skipping way ahead to the end of the movie, we see the moment with Pumbaa. Pumbaa starts laughing, and then out of nowhere, we see Bob from Monsters vs. Aliens. He starts laughing. We see Mantis from Kung Fu Panda. He starts laughing. And we see one more character that Seth Rogen voices, and I forget who it is now.
There was one more?
I think there was one more. I think there was like 4 characters in total.
I mean, 4th would be the one of the bad guys of the movie, right?
No, I don't think so. I had a list of Easter eggs pulled up here now. I've lost it.
That's fair.
I swear there is one more. Here we go. Okay, yeah, no, it is just Pumbaa, Bob, and Mantis. I thought there was one more.
Nailed it.
But they all start laughing, and I legitimately laughed. It's like, okay, you got me with that one.
That was a good gag. I really enjoyed that because they're aware. They're very self-aware. You'd have to be ridiculously out of touch if you weren't aware that they knew the power of his laugh, and you'd be kidding yourself if you didn't think that, like, they didn't know that and how self-aware they were with that.
I think I made it happen because I kept complaining about it in the group chat.
You made it come to fruition. But no, I don't know. It's an infectious laugh for me, and like when they maybe I'm a little biased when I hear that laugh now. I get a little bit more to it because I know if you're watching the same trailer, you're just seething with anger.
Again, it's nothing against the laugh for Seth Rogen. I don't mind Seth Rogen as an actor. It's just, again, it's such a trope now that if Seth Rogen is in your movie, he is going to laugh in the trailer. Exactly.
I wish I could do it. I truly do.
No one else can do that laugh. So it's such a guttural thing that I don't even know how they get him to make that same laugh every time. Like it's either something he has rehearsed,
man. That's just
it's either but again, it's something he's either rehearsed and he's perfected, or like they just sit there and they riff until he starts laughing and then they just clip it.
I mean, it could be. I mean, it could very well be.
So there's also this Chip and Dale storyline that happens in between all the Seth Rogen laughing.
There was a movie? Wait, what?
Well, there's a bunch of Easter eggs that stitched together as a pretty fun movie.
No, yeah, they did a really good job of that, and just from the onset, that it pans over to Dale. He's at a con, and it's just a bunch of call outs, stuff that they can get away with because they just had a bunch of fans walking through the con as dressed up as certain characters, and then of course all these other characters that they somehow were able to pull off because it's not a rights issue, it's on their parody, so they were able to pull it off.
I figured that was probably how they got around it with all of these references.
Well, yeah, the big one, which I don't know if we should hold off, we're spoiling the whole movie anyway, but whatever. If you live on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook and you have if you searched any one time for Chip and Dale movie, you probably got spoiled on Ugly Sonic.
Ugly Sonic was trending before I think the Chip and Dale movie technically was, like, for technical,
Aired.
like for the verbatim wordage.
Well, yeah, because what was happening is there was apparently a rumor within the Sonic community, like, oh my god, they're gonna be bringing Ugly Sonic, back for this Chip and Dale movie because of the whole situations. Then like a week prior, you started seeing images of like the con with like a before and after. This was the trailer when it was announced, like, however many months ago, and we just caught leak of this same scene, and there's Ugly Sonic walking in the background. I was like, that's not real, red herring, no way. And here we are after airing. So it was hilarious to see what they did with that. Kind of funny how Sonic kind of saves the day. But those little Easter eggs like that were amazing. I mean, we wanted to go back immediately and just start going through the movie again just to catch as much as possible. But there was so much. Especially when you get to the fact that the whole movie essentially friends and characters and they start getting kidnapped. And it turns out that they're essentially being quote unquote trafficked for bootleg movies. And to do so, they put them in this machine that reworks their characters and makes them look like, a really horrible rip off of like Aladdin, for example. And with all of that, you also got to a scene near the end where they save all these characters that have been screwed over, and you're trying to find the Easter egg, but then you realize, wait, I'm finding like 2 or 3 Easter eggs or mentions off of one character because they're like triple, quadruple mixed to one. So that also kind of raises the hunt, if you will, for the Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Which let's be honest, that's all this movie was. It's just
It should be subtitled Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers Easter Egg Hunt.
Easter egg hunt of your childhood. But no, I don't know. I enjoy it. I don't know if it's just because it's playing off a nostalgia kick for me, and I'm just a sucker for it. Thinking back to the movie, it was fun. It was okay. It's also direct to Disney Plus, so I mean, what's that tell you?
Yeah, it is a very fun movie. I will not take that away from it. If you're going into this movie expecting something as impactful or influential as Who Framed Roger Rabbit, you're kind of kidding yourself. That's not really what this movie is going for. It's using a lot of that technology and the ideas of like how animated characters exist in the universe, but it's not trying to tell like this really immersive story. It's just trying to have fun, which there is room for movies that can be just plain fun. I think the only thing about this movie that really kind of detracted from the fun for me was having John Mulaney and Andy Samberg as Chip and Dale, respectively. I love both of them for different reasons. John Mulaney, although, is kind of on my shit list right now because apparently he had Dave Chappelle show up for like a surprise opening act for his show a couple nights ago from when we're recording.
Mm-hmm.
And Dave Chappelle just went on a huge riff as like anti or transphobic nonsense again.
Yeah.
And John Mulaney was like, well, that's Dave. Like, he didn't be like, oh, we didn't know what his set was going to be. We didn't know what this is. He's just kind of like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, no,
that's kind of a shitty thing to do.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not coming out of his mouth, so I mean, not much else he can do there except for try and say like, Dave shouldn't have done that. But that's another discussion.
Either way, I still would have preferred Tress MacNeille and Corey Burton coming in to be the voices for Chip and Dale. But I think I understand why they didn't do that, which is this is very much like treading that line of going into PG-13 territory.
Mm-hmm.
Because so much of it is animated, they can get away with a lot more. So it's not entirely PG-13. But because some of the things they are saying, like I think Chip drops a hell in there.
Yeah, there's hell, there's crap. I think I heard a damn or two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like I think by having known actors and comedians in as the voices of these characters, Disney's kind of trying to save the brand of Chip and Dale, because then they can still have the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and whatever else where Tress MacNeille and Corey Burton are being Chip and Dale and they have the squeaky voices.
Right. Well, it's another part of the whole movie is that the those aren't their real voices. It's all an act. That's how they were. That's how they were hired eventually. You know, they met as children in a school. They were the only tiny ones apparently, or something like that. And who was that moved? Dale had moved to a new school, new city, and Chip noticed him, and they sat together, and then friendship flourished. But like they always had normal voices. And eventually they started working together to try and get into show business. And once they finally got to writing a script or something like that, they got noticed. They created voices for it, and that's the Chip and Dale we all know and love type of situation. So that's another reason why they went that route, because again, realism sells, I guess, or at least at least in light of the whole like the premise of the movie, like, oh, you know, this is real life, and here's the real guys, which by the way was a great kicker with Gadget at the end. It's like, oh wow, I can't believe your machine actually flies. Yeah, I guess my real life character is just like my show character. It's a great trope to land on.
And they did bring back Tress MacNeille to be the voice of Gadget, which I appreciated at least.
Mm-hmm.
And then was it Andre Brower was the voice of Zipper?
Allstate Man?
Was it David?
I'm terrible with names. All I know is that he's the Allstate guy, and he's also the president for the first few seasons of the show 24.
Okay, I thought it was Andre Brower, but no, yeah, you're right. It is Dennis Haysbert as Zipper.
Were you not in good hands, Josh?
I was in the 9-9 with Andre Brower in my head, okay?
No, he's got a distinct, more of a just straightforward, like sharp voice versus the other. Sorry, I'm terrible with names, so he's Allstate guy.
My kids have been watching Spirit Untamed like on loop, and Andre Brower kind of sounds a lot like Dennis Haysbert in that movie. So I thought maybe he was just kind of pulling a little bit from there, but yeah, okay, I can hear it now. But yeah, as we were saying, like the story is geared more towards adults, which is probably again why they're doing John Mulaney and Andy Samberg instead of Tress MacNeille and Corey Burton with the squeaky high pitched voice modifications, because adults are going to get annoyed by that for an
hour and a
nearly
half,
90-minute movie. Yeah,
yeah. Which I thought it was a pretty cool callback to when there was a point where they're tied up together and they're trying to, you know, they're fighting about the situation that they're in, and then they start berating each other so much they start just naturally going into their squeaky voice situation, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, that was a nice callback and Easter egg amongst itself. So yeah, the main story is Monterey Jack is addicted to cheese, as we know, and he's been buying bootleg cheese for some reason, so he can get the really stinky stuff.
Yeah, he's supposed to have been off the cheese because it got so bad for him apparently.
He's a cheeseaholic anonymous.
Essentially. And the stinky cheese is the bad stuff. And then essentially Chip gets a phone call from Monty, like, hey, I need your help. Come see me. I know it's been forever. Please come see me. Chip goes to see him, and Monty's like, hey, you know, you have to help me. I'm in trouble. I got this gang after me. Like, why are you in a gang? Why is the gang after you? Like, I've been buying like the stinky cheese from them. Like, I thought you were off the cheese, which was hilarious. And that's where the whole kidnapping of these tunes that are being then put through the bootlegging machine, if you will. And then Monty ended up calling Dale as well, who has been reminiscing about his past and wanted to possibly bring back his glory days. So then they happen to meet up at the same time. Chip's not happy that Dale's there, and he says, okay, cool, well, this sucks. Eventually leads up to the point that they leave Monty, and within minutes there's a phone call saying, hey, Monty's gone, he's been kidnapped. And that's where pretty much it goes from there. And
then it just kind of, again, hilarity ensues because circumstances change, and they just keep having to work through it because the police
out.
Yeah, and the police are like, oh, we're so inundated with everything, we can't get there in time.
Right. And there's like how many tunes by that point? Like 8 tunes missing or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
The cutaway to Flounder was amazing, by the way. Let me pay you back with this dingle hopper. It's like, good callback. Good callback.
Yes. It's an authentic dingle hopper.
Yeah.
Worth a lot of money.
And then there's the whole thing where, like, Dale, as everyone has seen through the trailers, he went from 2D to 3D. He did the plastic surgery to CG, and Chip decided to not, which I find kind of funny because if you didn't realize this, Chip's not animated. Chip is actually 3D animated in a 2D cell shaded style. and I get it. It's animation is expensive. Where CG, not that CG is any easier, but as far as the time consumption and how many people are working on it, they just decided to do that. And I've seen people like online like bitching about it, like it takes away from the whole idea that Chip decided to say 2D and blah blah blah. It's like, come on, man, immerse yourself for God's sakes.
How dare they say that 3D animated 2D shading is not 2D? If I said that right, I don't know. It's the internet. They can't be happy about anything. They can't just accept something and be like, okay.
No, I just find that hilarious that, like, we're talking about a movie with two talking chipmunks, but the fact that one was animated one way over the other, that's what threw you over, because the sanctity of the animation or whatever, I don't know anymore, man. The internet be interneting, yo.
Yeah.
And I'm just tired of it. But no, I appreciated it because there was lots of stuff that they were able to pull off just fine. Chip and Dale are never too crazy exaggerated in animation, a la, like, let's say a Bugs Bunny, Roger Rabbit, or a Donald Duck type situation. So, like, I think it was fine. Were there any moments that you were off put by Chip, pulling you away, going like, oh wait, he's not 2D but he's 3D, but that's okay? Like, did you ever have any of those notions?
No, I fully just accepted the animation as it was. Like, it was fine. Like, I really don't get what people are complaining about with that, because again, it's you're not gonna go backward to hand draw Chip in an era where everything is done digitally. Mm-hmm. And like, it's gonna look so bad compared to everything else, especially with all the characters that are in this. And like some of the old ones and the new ones, 2D and everything, like it wouldn't work. So you just have to accept the rules of the universe as they're presented and just be like, it's a movie, who cares?
Right. And I think the only actual animation we saw was when they were doing the the flashback, setting up the movie, like literally the first few minutes of an episode of Rescue Rangers that was animated where they're laughing at a horrible joke, way over laughing into before the director says cut finally. And then I think again that one quick like 5-second scene where we see Roger Rabbit in the background, where like, oh, we did the Roger Rabbit with Roger Rabbit. Like, I think he was literally the only other thing that was fully 2D animated, whether it's traditional paper cell or like digitally animated, but like with a actual digital art, frame by frame type of situation. So I mean, I don't think there was anything else, but you're right. I think that would have been immensely off-putting to the feng shui of the movie.
Because again, if you're even thinking in that way, so Mickey Mouse has had how many different iterations? So you're saying that if Mickey Mouse exists in this universe, which they never really confirm or deny, he's gone through like 9 different animation surgeries, but like he also exists in a 2D and 3D animated world. So like, are there like 3 different Mickey Mouses existing? Is he the Joker?
So technically Toontown is one and the same with Roger Rabbit. So like the Toons exist in our world, and technically Bonkers from the Disney Afternoon was supposed to be a subset of the world of Toontown, in which case Bonkers actually met Mickey in one of those episodes. So yes, Mickey does exist in this universe. So yes, I just went too deep there with the Disney Afternoon universe.
That is some huge nerd knowledge drop right there.
What can I say? I can nerd out. I have the capacity to nerd out.
And that's why you'll always have a spot on this show until you bad talk me again.
All right. But no, yeah, I thought the whole thing was awesome.
So, what did you think of Peter Pan actually being the bad guy? I thought it was going to end up being, what was it? Fat Cat. I thought it would end up being Fat Cat was like going to end up being the villain.
That's what I thought.
He would be the one that would lose the most. I probably from the cancellation of Rescue Rangers, because no one's going to hire a villain cat. But yeah, he just ended up becoming an Easter egg in the weird amalgamation at the end of the boss fight.
I don't know, man. Garfield might need a stunt double sometime. But no, yeah, I too was kind of thinking like, oh, it's gonna be Fat Cat. It's the easy out, but like it's gonna be Fat Cat. Though I then decided against that as soon as I saw that he was in as just part of the show. Like when that whole scene when they are laughing and they call cut. immediately he smiles as an actor, like, all right, cool, my part's done. That's what it comes off as. So I was like, oh, maybe it's not, because there's no, they're not focusing on a resentment scene or anything like that. Like the camera just panned away, boom, he was done. So I was legit sitting there guessing, like wondering who the bad guy was gonna be. And yes, they spoiled it in some of the trailers, but I wasn't expecting him to be Peter Pan.
Yeah, that was a weird one. I thought he was like some kind of weird animated fanboy or something. But I mean, if it was gonna be Fat Cat, this is the kind of movie where they reveal Fat Cat in the final like 20 minutes of the movie, and then he monologues his way of like, yeah, this is my resentment speech, and like, okay, yeah, makes sense, fine. But with this one, they pretty much tell you outright that yeah, Peter Pan is the bad guy, and he's the boy who never grew up, but he actually grew up, and he's just like, I went off and had a pretty great bootleg career, which I think is supposed to mean he like worked in porn.
I don't know.
That's kind of the takeaway I got from it.
Well, no, bootleg career, because like he couldn't grow up, and then he grew up, so then he didn't want anymore. Which, side note, the wife was actually pretty upset by that. Which is again knowledge that I had no idea about. So I guess there was a young boy, like back in the day, 50s, I guess, where Disney was touting this young kid as Peter Pan.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and he died.
Yeah, and like apparently it's the same way how they got rid of him. He no longer was good looking because he started getting zits everywhere, and Disney thought, like he thought he would have a career forever in Disney, and then Disney said, nope, you're no longer a doable face for the image of what we want, so bye. And apparently, yeah, he turned to drugs, whatever, and then he died at the age of what, 40, 30 or some shit like that?
31. I've got him pulled up here. Bobby Driscoll. Yeah. He was going to be like the first Disney kid, essentially, like what Russell. Oh God, I lost it. He played Ego. Russell. God damn it. Escape from New York, Escape from L.A. Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Wow. Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell.
Cool.
I don't know why, but Russell Crowe got stuck in my head. But yeah, Kurt Russell was kind of like the first
fighting around the world.
I mean, yeah, oi. I mean, there are South Park characters in this universe too.
Yeah, I know. Which that also floored me. It's like, what the hell?
That actually, I didn't even think of that. But yeah, that's some bullshit from the writers, I guess. Kind of.
So yeah, that's the thing that we don't know. My wife started she like actually had me pause the movie, and then I told her, like, look, I don't care what you're stressing out about, let's not pause, let's keep going, we'll talk about it afterwards. And then at the end, like she talked about it, and the more she talked about it, she got visibly upset. Like, that's that's pretty bullshit if they did that on purpose. I'm like, they did what on purpose? And then she told me about it, and it's like one of those things where, like, hey man, if I didn't know about it, like some of these writers or whoever okayed it, like, must not have been aware of the situation.
I could see it being just a gap in knowledge. And they just thought it'd be funny, but it is a weird trope. Coincidence. Yeah. The child actor no longer is cute, so they kick him to the curb, and then he can't have a career afterward because everyone just sees him as the character he played as a child.
Yeah, it just sucks that it so happened to land on the same the same part, I guess.
Yeah.
But in any case, I had no idea that Pan was going to be the ultimate bad guy there.
With a Coca-Cola bear as a henchman.
That was amazing. Can I just say, that was just like a touch of perfection of just reaching out to anything and everything that's animated in some way, shape, or form that can exist in this world. That was awesome. And him getting excited to see Baloo, that was a great touch. That was like some wholesome touch right there.
Yeah, there is a lot of like polish and like nice little in-universe things that make sense. Almost any scene that's on like a busy street, you can watch the background and find something. Like this one was spoiled for me, so I was looking for it. But there's Miles Morales' Great Expectations graffiti that he puts up in the subway.
Oh Jesus!
In Into the Spider-Verse, it can be seen in one of the scenes.
Oh wow! No, I didn't notice that. Wow.
There's also a bus ad for Butthead for Senate.
I saw that, which is so accurate. But But there's a ton of little things like that. And now that I'm on the spot, like I can't think.
And
of
they
anything.
don't shy away from anything either, because like at one point Chip accidentally goes through the reanimator or whatever you want to call it that like makes them look like a bootleg edition of themselves, and he gets a Snoopy ear, and everyone's just like, you have a Snoopy ear.
Yep.
They don't call it anything else. Like they just acknowledge the thing that it is. And I thought that was really great.
Yeah, no, and again, the fact that like I didn't know they could do that without getting litigation situations happening. But I guess it just all falls under parody, and just mentioning things here and there doesn't do anything. It's properly used in the sense that they're not gonna make me like, oh, there's a Snoopy ear mentioned. Oh, they're making money off of that Snoopy ear mention. So it just all falls under parody. How they got, I still don't know how they got away with like blatantly called Sonic. He's ugly Sonic. His name's in it. It looks like the ugly Sonic that got kicked to the wayside.
They probably just went to Sega and said, "Here's $600,000. Give us the model, and we're gonna use it." And Sega's like, "Okay."
Well, no. Apparently, Paramount and Sega both had no idea this happened.
Really?
Yes. Rumor has it that lawyers were involved just to again, all rumors at this point based on what I've seen, connecting the dots. But the lawyers were checked to see if this was a pass, and that's as far as it got. They got a green light from the lawyers, like, cool, litigation ain't happening, let's go. So
that's insane. Maybe because they ended up changing the design, like it just fell. The trademark had to get it updated or something. I don't know.
I imagine, but yeah, everybody thought like, oh, cool, it's good to see that the assets weren't thrown away. No, Disney's like, nah, bitch, we recreated Ugly Sonic from the ground up. These weren't passed along assets, so that's impressive as hell.
Yeah, and I love the like memes in the background where they have like the Burt Reynolds Ugly Sonic there, and
everything.
Like again, there's so much, and like there's Tigra from the Avengers show that happened after Spider-Man and the Spider-Man the animated series, where they had like this really mishmash group of Avengers, where it's like Scarlet Witch, Vision, Wonder Man, Tigra, and someone else. But like it wasn't like the core Avengers that we know.
Oh, and Ant-Man, right?
Ant-Man. Yes, that's a cameo we got to make sure we bring back up.
Oh, Paul Rudd.
Which, did he have a mullet? It looked like he had a pretty long hair in the back, like a mullet kind of thing.
Didn't notice that. I couldn't tell you for factual or not. It's pretty gross if he did.
But yeah, like Tigra was pretty cool because that is a pretty deep cut, and I like the idea that there's this like perpetual 365 24/7 convention going on for retired or obscure animated characters.
Right. I'm trying to think of what else we saw in that thing.
Yeah,
let me notes, but I was actually casually watching.
I got a list here. Let's see what else I can find.
Oh, can we talk about? Hold on. Can we talk about the Muppet in charge of the cheese?
Yes.
Because holy shit, that character was amazing. Like, essentially,
it was a take on like the Swedish chef,
right? Exactly.
It wasn't the Swedish chef.
He was making the accent, but he was actually speaking English. Oh, I have the cheese. Come get the cheese. Like, do you have cheese? Like, do I have a cheese? Like, no. Do you have stinky cheese? And then the zoom in on the brow, going from happy to just the fuck you cops. Like that was amazing. Like, I legit busted out laughing at that. That was great. Like, well done. Well done.
So other cameos we have are MC Scat Cat, which is at the party scene where we also see Roger Rabbit. Mm-hmm. The Three Little Pigs, which Chip and Dale are writing on plates. This one I actually caught, but I forgot about. Duncan and Winchell from Wreck-It Ralph, the police officers. They're also cops in this universe.
Oh, I didn't catch that one at all.
They're the donuts.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh shit.
I didn't see Willie the Giant. Apparently he was in the, let's see, happens quickly, no attention is called to him. He serves as a resident in modern day Hollywood, reminding us that the Toons and humans live harmoniously together.
How the fuck do we miss Willie the Giant? He's a goddamn giant.
It had to have been like a big citywide panning shot. We talked about Randy Marsh, South Park, Scrooge McDuck, McGruff the crime dog, I did
Yeah,
catch him.
I did see
He was
McGruff,
working
yep.
at the police department.
That was amazing.
The Stampede of the Ponies from My Little Pony.
Yeah, which if I remember right, the earlier trailer had them using either I think the newer pony designs or like the older ones. So they actually corrected it to the one that popularized it in modern day, if you will, the late 2000s, early 2000s.
Apparently, Doc McStuffins can
Doc
be seen
McStuffins,
somewhere in the
yep.
convention.
And
I missed her.
Yep, during the scene where they're running on the up end of the convention, being chased by Seth Rogen's character, which I forgot their name.
Bob.
It's a quick second of her looking on from below, looking up like what the hell. So yeah, that was a quick like second.
Yeah, which again, going back to that Pumbaa and like all these other voice acted characters that Seth Rogen has done, in that moment there are two Bobs that he has played in animated features. One is just an anagram for I forget, some kind of blobulous something or other.
I have no idea.
Then there's Zummy Gummy from the Gummy Bears.
Yep.
Detective Flores from Big Mouth, which that probably had to have been a John Mulaney edition because he's in Big Mouth as well.
That makes sense.
Roger Rabbit, obviously Peter Pan. Oh, I didn't catch this one when the corrupt police captain voiced by J.K. Simmons, he turns his hand into an anvil in the final fight.
Yep.
That apparently is an homage to Judge Doom, who turns his hand into an anvil in the final fight in Roger Rabbit.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then there's the T-1000
The
homage as well, where they freeze him since he's made of putty. Which that fight scene at the end with Ellie and I forget I think they just keep calling him Chief. I know he has an actual name, but that fight scene was hilariously scary. Like, if that makes any sense.
No, it does.
Like, I could see my kids getting scared watching that, but at the same time, like, there's that moment where he's just like giggling as he's doing stuff.
Yeah, he's just laughing his ass off and he's attacking her and about to kill her. Like, he, I'm gonna poke your eyes out. Like, what the fuck? And the way he comes in is very T-1000. He comes like he's liquid underneath the door.
Yes.
The crack of the door comes up, and he's like, essentially just that doom gloom music in the background. Like, oh, there should be a 13 in front of this PG.
Let's see here. There's the hybrids. You have Felix the Cat and the Pink Panther, Gus Gus from Cinderella and the Tweedles. Syndrome from The Incredibles and Sideshow Bob from The Simpsons, King Candy from Wreck-It Ralph and Elmer Fudd.
I saw Elmer Fudd. I didn't see King Candy. Sora's hair was in there as part of the extra parts.
Jimmy Neutron's hair, stuck with that one too.
Yep. And then if you want to count the mix-ups, Dumbo technically, which by the way, when they were going through all the different cover arts for the bootlegs, it was in Spanish. Estúpido el elefante.
Yes.
Stupid the elephant, which is amazing.
I did catch that one.
God damn it. What else? I could have sworn I saw even like Phineas and Ferb callouts, but again, like not the actual characters, but parts of the character during the mixed up the saving of the mixed characters. What else did I see?
Yeah, like people are going to be writing essays about the hidden features of this movie.
Yeah, not only that, then when you get into Dale's garage, like, all the memorabilia, the pogs and the stickers and all that crap. Did they touch on the stickers? I don't know. I might have put that into my own headcanon, because actually one of the first things I remember collecting about the show when I was a kid, there was like an actual sticker book. You collected all the stickers and put it on there, and there was a rare stickers and all that. So I think I saw that. That might have been my headcanon, just putting it in there just out of nostalgia. The Pogs. I want to say the Pogs are real. They have to be real.
I think they were, yeah.
Everything was a Pog back then.
Yeah, I think everything in there was real. I think even the arcade cabinet was real.
I don't think the Chip and Dale game actually ever made it to arcade. They had the shot of the NES with the Chip and Dale 1 and Chip and Dale's 2, which was a real thing. A very limited run, which I wish I had. The game's like $1 million, essentially. Bunch of actual memorabilia, which was actually pretty cool. And I love how they also use it as a way to try and give you a red herring on who one of the bad guys is. So it turns out the Chief, Chief is a traitor, but first they're at least Chip had his finger on Ellie, right? Yeah.
Yes, Ellie was her name.
Because like, oh hey, what's your favorite episode? Oh, 2 Minute Account. Cool. How did you watch? Oh, I'd watch after school all the time. Hey, there's a map of everywhere that Chip and Dale aired. Wait, Ellie, aren't you from Albany? Like, yeah. Well, it didn't air there. Oh yeah, my grandma would record it for me. It's like, what? So it was a cool way of them setting up the red herring, and honestly, it got me. I was like, okay, cool. They're setting it up.
I was honestly a little bit suspicious, but at the same time, I was like, it's a person of color and a woman who we're trying to throw this misdirect on. I don't think it's going to be the case, but I will be genuinely surprised because I feel like that could be a turning point as well, or it could also be really poorly received because, like, oh, of course the person of color is the bad guy.
Gotcha. Yeah, I agree with all the sentiments on that, but whenever I watch media, I remove myself from that and just try to go into it as something that's written with no ill intentions, no matter who's the bad guy, who's a good guy, whatever the case may be, unless it's just blatantly like typecasting of stereotypes type of situation, which
which this movie did not do.
No, not at all.
No,
not at all. So that's why I was able to like believe into that red herring, which doesn't happen very often for me.
Yeah, like I said, I was leaning into it. I was kind of like, where is this gonna go? Because I could see it going both ways, which is kind of a testament to how fun the movie is. Because again, like, it's not taking itself seriously, so they wouldn't necessarily think that way, or at least it doesn't come across that way, that they would be like, oh, we're going to do the trope where the person of color ends up being the bad guy.
Right.
But it ends up being the police chief who's made of putty, and he apparently has been sabotaging Ellie this whole time. But it was a really good red herring that, again, if you're watching it without being spoiled, it probably would get you too. Because that is a very good and obvious thing. Like you're talking about, where like, oh, my grandma recorded it for me, and then Chip references the fact that old people don't know how to work VCRs and technology.
Yeah, very true. My parents at that time, let alone my grandma at the time.
In the 90s.
Yep, exactly.
But there is one other Easter egg we need to discuss before we start wrapping up here.
I know where this is going.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Batman versus E.T.
That's not really the one I was going for.
Oh no, that's the one I was going for.
Oh really?
100%. That was like the one note I took down. I was like, how the hell did they get this to work?
Yeah.
Like, they never. I think with Batman, the way they got around it is like, you see the ears, but you never see the full cowl. So I think that's kind of how they got around that one. But like, that's such a weird amalgamation of studios. Like, that's Universal and Warner Brothers and DC. How did you get that to work?
They also used his actual name, Batman, too. So it's like, there's nothing else it could have been. Again, parody, and I guess just you working with the silhouette.
Well, you can name drop Batman. I think the most recent Spider-Man movie might have dropped, or maybe Doctor Strange dropped a Batman reference.
You might be right, actually. Did it?
I think you can like name drop it in whatever context you want, because it's just general knowledge. But like, once you put a visual to it, then you're kind of crossing over to it. But again, I love that like Chip is getting emotional about it, and he's just like, that is how it would happen.
That's right.
Because E.T. ends up getting defeated by Batman, because of course he would. And he's like, E.T., forgive Batman.
That was so stupid.
It was so good.
Stupid.
I live for those stupid moments.
I know. No, the one I wanted to touch on was the very end with the call out to our boy Darkwing, still being left in the dust.
Voiced by Jim Cummings.
Yep, as he should be. Yeah, man, just there's been so many ideas of that being the next thing to kind of pop up, especially after the 2017 DuckTales, like, built up that, like, hey, we're gonna build this, maybe a universe, maybe not, who knows, but look, Darkman exists. And then just radio silence after the fact, and of course COVID was a thing too. But then we hear about this movie. It's like, yo, hold up, you're bringing back the Disney Afternoon. Started with DuckTales strong. I guess Chip 'n Dale was big too. So like, now this is third time's a charm, right? Next one's got to be Darkwing, right? Come on, it's set up. Let's do it. Whether it's a show or a movie, I don't care. Just bring it.
Well, I mean, Darkwing Duck is kind of Batman, which actually, fun fact that I learned. So Chip and Dale break up because Dale's going to go off and do a show called Double O Dale, which I think is actually a reference in a Chip and Dale episode. I don't remember. I think it is. It sounded vaguely familiar. So I think it is like an alter ego that Dale creates in the context of the show. And then like they're going to give him his own series called Double O Dale. But apparently it was going to be Double O Duck. And that was the origins of Darkwing Duck, where it was going to be Jim Starling as Double O Duck. But the Broccoli family has a trademark on the Double O. So they couldn't make a show called Double O Duck.
Oh.
So that's when it became Darkwing Duck, and they essentially just made a parody of Batman.
Nice. That's cool. I didn't know that at all. I learned something new today.
Yeah, thanks IMDb and whoever posted that.
Oh man, but yeah, dude, the movie was fun. The movie was fun. Don't let the haters hate. Going with it with an open mind and just an open heart, if you will, for nostalgia. And just enjoy yourself.
Yeah, this is not a movie that's meant to be like nitpicked for logic. It's just a movie that's meant to be taken in and enjoyed. It doesn't need, it's not trying to be an Oscar winner. If you enjoy shit like the American Pie movies or the scary movies that exist to be fun, this is a movie that you can enjoy. It's not the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's not Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but it is fun. And for someone who has recently watched a very depressing TV show, 87 episodes of it, Attack on Titan, which very good show, but very depressing. And then I watched Uncharted, which is just such an average movie that it's depressing. And then I also watched The Fanatic, which, again, it's bad. This is just a breath of...
Hey, you want to hear Fred Durst?
This is just such a breath of fresh air of just like fun, and like kids can enjoy it, but it is definitely meant for people from like Gen X to millennials, or it's not necessarily completely accessible to them, but they'll have fun with it. There's some fun visuals, like Peter Pan ends up getting zapped by this reanimator or whatever you want to call it. He gets like a transformer leg along with a Woody leg, not a wooden leg, a Woody leg, like Woody from Toy Story. And he gets like a chain chomp blasting arm, and he gets the fat cat face. And it's just a fun just mishmash of like, oh, his entire body is a reference. Oh, he gets a Wreck-It Ralph arm. That's the other one. I'm gonna smash it. But I think we'll wrap it up there. This wasn't necessarily like a review episode. It was more just like, hey, this was a fun movie, and here's the things we enjoyed about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's just unwind.
Yeah,
and talk
so like
about it, essentially.
With our rating system, we'll put out the ratings. We have must see and pass. I will say it's a must see because, again, if you're from our generation, you're gonna enjoy this in some capacity.
Yeah, I'd say see it. Only to kind of play with the idea that like some generations won't give a damn, but you know, they may find something new, something to explore, something to go back and fish out the old shows, and anything else they might come across with the internet, reminding them of what references they should be aware of.
Oh, shout out to my guy Antonio from the Cultworthy podcast, because when they open up that trailer where they finally find Monty, who's been amalgamated with Dumbo's ears, one of the first characters out is the Bigfoot from a Goofy movie, and with like the underwear over his head and everything.
Nice. I didn't notice that. Holy crap. Very nice.
So with that, we will wrap it up. Lewis, would you like to share any of your social medias?
You can find me on Twitter at Lou Ramrod. That's it. I'm not important.
One quick bit from me. Last week, I mentioned that I was on the Fanatic podcast with Tim from the Video Game Club. There is also another host, Aya. I am so sorry that I forgot to mention you last week. I am very tired. I am still very tired, but I made a mental note that when we record the next episode, I need to reference that I am an asshole for forgetting Aya also hosts the Fanatic podcast with Tim, and that they are both very wonderful people, and I very much appreciate them having me on the podcast. I have shared that link several times. I think I'll share it again in this episode as recompense for being an asshole and forgetting to mention Aya. But with that, also I wanted to mention anyone who tuned into Becky and I talking during the 2-hour block on day 2 of the live stream for The Cure, and anyone who's listening from the live stream for The Cure and donated, we appreciate you. And if you didn't donate, again, if you just share the word, or you're just here because you saw us on there, we appreciate you taking the time to listen. With that, You can follow me on Twitter at Josh_Scar. Scar is spelled SKAAR. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at Talking Smack Pod. And you can email us at tsmackpod@gmail.com if you have any thoughts on reviews, feedback, whatever it is. Feedback is also accepted as reviews. You can review us through Good Pods, Apple Pods, Spotify, which, hey, Spotify, fuck you for throwing a Wild Turkey sponsorship on our page. We do not accept sponsorships from Wild Turkey. If we have an alcoholic beverage of choice, it is Aviation Gin. We're also on Podchaser and Google Pods.
I don't know how that happened.
I think it was just like a weird tech glitch, but it was a bullshit tech glitch for like 2 hours. Because like they're kids' podcasts, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, Wild Turkey Gin or Wild Turkey whiskey. Now let's go listen to this. Let's go listen to this podcast about Bluey.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's hilarious. No, I let my kids drink. No, just kidding.
With that, thank you again, everyone, for taking time to listen, and have a great week.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Watch Star Trek.